Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Peach Pundit Podcast. I'm Jason Pye, joined as always by Scott Turner and Buzz Brockway.
Oh, hey, Jason.
What was that?
That's my way of saying hello.
That's for your visual viewers. Scott did a little something, who knows, inexplicable.
We swear Buzz is here, even though he may be frozen at times. But Buzz is having some internet connectivity issues. But as long as we can hear him, that's all that matters. For those of you who are audio inclined rather than visually inclined, we do both audio and video versions of this podcast. So I'm in the Imperial City this week again, my monthly trip to Washington D.C. doing some meetings. But one thing I am checking in on whenever I get a chance is our Atlanta Braves. They are in the National League Championship Series. They are up 2-1 over the Los Angeles Dodgers. Should be 3-0, but
That's not how baseball works.
yeah, I know,
Yep.
but we were up 5-2 until like the bottom of the eighth last night, right?
Until they got Luke Jackson for the 900th time.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody kind of anticipated.
Look, man, Luke has been the most consistent bullpen guy all year, and he had a bad outing, no doubt about it.
Look, do you want Tyler Matzik in a clutch spot, or do you want Luke Jackson? Who do you want? I'll take Tyler Matzik. Thank you.
I expected us to get more Will Smith than Luke Jackson.
Yes, yeah, that's been more of a thing this year.
No, it has. I mean, I think to the point where the fan base is ready to pull its hair out, but of course I jinxed myself because I tweeted something last night about this. I basically said like, I need someone to bring me back down to earth because like both the Braves and the Georgia Bulldogs are having these like really great seasons. And like, I'm also cognizant of the fact that I'm a lifelong Georgia Bulldogs and Atlanta Braves fan. And like, I'm used to disappointment. So I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And then like within an hour and a half of me tweeting that, the Braves blow a lead. So it's like as if to prove my point.
Yeah. Look, I'll cheer for the Atlanta sports teams because I've lived here for most of my life, but I'm a fan of other teams. There's no Atlanta team other than Atlanta United. That's my primary team in that sport, right? I'm a Dolphins fan, I'm a Florida State fan, and I'm a Reds fan. I'm probably the only combination of those three fan bases that has all three of those. So I understand what it's like to win because the Dolphins were winners for a long time, regular season, struggled postseason. I know what it's like to win a national championship with Florida State. We are 31 years today, celebrating the 31st anniversary of the last time the Reds won a World Series. You guys are spoiled as Atlanta sports fans. You guys have so much success. You forget what it's like to be out of a pennant race by May 1st, which has been my experience for the last 14 years, except for these last two seasons. You forget what it's like to never make a playoffs in college football. You forget what it's like to not make the playoffs in the NFL. And, to make a Super Bowl is a big freaking deal. To make a World Series is a big deal. To make back-to-back ALs or NLCS series, big deal. That doesn't happen for every team. You go to Truist Park, especially see all those banners for all the division wins.
But to make the NLCS this year really is. I mean, to me, this should silence any criticism, all the doubters about the ability of Brian Snitker to manage this team and Alex Anthopoulos to put together a team. I mean, I thought for sure when Acuna went down, I thought, well, let's just play. They're just going to play the young guys, see what we've got in the farm system, and hang on and regroup for next year. Because but thankfully the Mets and the Phillies stink, and the Braves could make some moves and win the division again. So
I still question the questions I have for ownership and the GM are not I don't think I question the moves that we made. Like, when we picked up
it's the money. Yeah.
Yeah,
they got to pony up some more money, man.
Yeah, they got to pony up some more money. Like when we made some of the acquisitions, like because it's not just that we lost Acuna, we lost Soroka, we lost Azuna.
Yep.
And there were a couple.
Darno was out for a significant time.
Right.
Ian Anderson was out for a significant Oscar Inoa broke his hand. I mean, he was tearing it up, and then he punches the wall and breaks his hand. Nobody taught him physics apparently.
Well, here's the other thing to keep in mind is that last year you had no business being in an LCS either. And you took the best team in baseball to a 1-run 7th game in last year's LCS. And you came back this year and overcame the same type of adversity. You have a good team in the Braves.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The fan base turns on them over one blown.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and now because you referenced the Georgia Bulldogs, and I'm going to come back to that because we do have other, but I also need to move on because we have a lot of other topics to discuss. But the one thing about the Atlanta Braves is, we went to the World Series 4 consecutive years. Other than 1994, which was a strike year, there was no World Series. We won the World Series 4 consecutive years, 5 consecutive years actually. I think 90, 91, 92, 93, 95, 96. I can't remember I don't think we went in 97. So 4 years. But
the Marlins won in 97.
That's right. Yeah. So, but we won.
The fun. Either the Phillies knocked us out one year. Somebody anyway. Yeah.
So we won 1 World Series. We went a couple more times, and we lost both those.
And it's been since 1999 or 2000 was the last time the Braves have been to the World Series.
I don't remember. I think it was 99, but I don't remember.
Yeah. It's swept by the Yankees, I think.
Yeah, I think it's not fair to say we became the New York Patriots, or not New York Patriots, New England Patriots fans, where they were just kind of used to winning. But there was some of that. But like people would get disappointed. It's like, oh, it's the Braves. Like, we're going to go to the World Series. We're going to blow it in the World Series, like we always did, except for that one year in '95 when we won. With the Georgia Bulldogs, it is a little different because, I was telling some people about this the other day. It's like, because it's like Georgia. So the last time we won a national championship, I was like a week old.
Mm-hmm.
That was January. That was January 1981. It was the 1980 national championship that we won. The last time before 2017, if I remember correctly, the last time we went to a national championship was 1982 when we lost to Penn State.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, and then you had you had sort of in the 1990s, you had the Ray Goff years, which nobody wants to talk about or even acknowledge that they existed. Then you had the Jim Donnan years when we improved. Then you had the Mark Richt years when like we could never win the big game. And now you're in the Kirby Smart years. It's like, we actually went to a national championship. The one thing I will say about Georgia Bulldogs fans is we live way too much in the past, and we do think we are to some degree. We live way too much in the past, but the Georgia Bulldogs fan base will never be like the Atlanta Braves fan base, and isn't. I don't think you can make a comparison.
It's the same people. I don't know why you think it's different.
Not all the same people.
It's not all the same people.
Because you can mix in a couple of Georgia Tech guys that are Braves.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some heathens who are but
at least one out here that's
it's the same people.
Okay, so we're talking about winning and losing, but one set of people we know who have lost are the clowns who filed this lawsuit in Henry County over ballot inspections, trying to get an audit, trying to cast doubt on the 2020 election. Judge Brian Amaro has tossed that case due to lack of standing, if I recall correctly. Go ahead, Scott.
No, I just noticed what Buzz is drinking, you traitorous bastard.
I was at the office today. These were there, and I thought, I'm bringing this. I'm gonna drink this because it's delicious, and it will annoy the heck out of my friend Scott.
This podcast has already gone off the rails. If you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I had an emotional reaction to Buzz Brockway's beverage choices.
But who's the bigger disappointment?
Buzz.
Yeah. All right. We've got new Coke Zero and Diet Pepsi versus Scott.
Buzz is the bigger disappointment. You win, pie.
I'm just trolling.
I know you are.
So
broke
anyway,
it out at the wrong time.
Go.
Now we've got tension in the podcast.
So the ballot inspection case,
Congratulations,
the ballot inspection case has been tossed by Judge Brian Amaro. If I recall correctly, it was because of lack of standing.
Right.
Where the conspiracy theorists who have largely pushed this case, do they have a path forward at all? Well, first of all, what do you guys think about the case being tossed, and do these guys have a path forward through some other avenue?
I guess it's hard to judge the merits of the case because there was a lack of standing problem, but I don't know. I mean, I think we've talked about before. I'm not opposed to the concept of audits, but you got to have people. If you're going to conduct a forensic audit, everybody's throwing around this term about forensic audit. We need forensic audit. Every Republican candidate is calling for a forensic audit, and if you're going to have a forensic audits are conducted by experts. And so if you're going to do a forensic audit of the elections, you need to have people who are experts in documents and document flow and actually understand Georgia law like the back of their hand. You need to bring in experts because that's what they do in forensic audits. They don't just invite in people off the street and say, hey, take a look at this. And so I think, no disrespect to the people who are involved in this, but they're not the people that I would trust to conduct a forensic audit of the 2020 election. So there you go. I'm sure they're, those folks are, upset with me anyway. So
no, yeah, the headline that the AJC chose to run was not what was in the body of the article, which I found interesting. The headline made it seem like the case was tossed because of a lack of
a substantive,
right,
right,
that the substance of the lawsuit didn't have merit. Now, we can debate that, I suppose, but the case was tossed on technicality, not because of the merits of the case. So it's possible that these people will regroup and try again. They essentially sued the wrong people, which is defined. Honestly, it's defined in the election code who you need to sue in the event that you have an issue. You cannot sue local officials. You have to go and sue. It's very clear where you have to go with your lawsuit. They clearly didn't understand the rules of the law, and they filed invalid lawsuit as a result. It was tossed, and it gives them that headline, right? That it was tossed after no fraud found, but that wasn't the case, right? So I expect, I haven't talked to any of them over there, but I expect that they will not give up because they're continuing to have events, where they're trying to raise money. So I expect that they will continue these types of efforts until they get some level of satisfaction, which may be never. They may continue forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a point at which groups like Voter GA need to give up and move on. And look, I understand there's skepticism. I understand skepticism, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to say this that makes sense. It's okay to be a skeptic, but when you keep pushing this to a point where I personally believe like this is going to come back and haunt people, which I know we're going to discuss later. It's going to haunt Georgia elections, now and into the future. That you at some point you deserve responsibility for that.
You are walking into a potential trap where you are going to be suppressing the will of people to vote. You're going to be discouraging them actively from going to participate in the electoral process because you're making them believe that their vote doesn't count, and therefore it's a useless exercise. And we're seeing that, right? This is what I would challenge Voter GA and any other group that wants to go down this road towards a forensic audit is clearly identify what you want.
Yeah, maybe
we clearly articulate what it is that you're looking to do, because I believe that 90% of what they've asked for has already been done. They've gone and looked at specific boxes of ballots to make sure that there was no pristine ballots or there were no photocopy ballots. They've gone and looked at multiple batches that were suspected of that. We've hand counted the ballots multiple times to make sure the machine counts were accurate. I mean, what is it that you want? You say a forensic audit, but what does that mean to you? Because every time we do some aspect of a forensic audit, you say that's not enough. We need more.
Yeah.
Define what that is. Define what that is. Before you take any other legal step, before you take any other press release or big event, define what it is that you want. I don't understand. I don't understand what it is that you're trying to do. You say forensic audit, like I know what that means. Clearly, I don't, because every time I say, well, we've done that, we've done this, we've done that. You say, well, we haven't done a forensic audit. Well, that's all the aspects, all the individual components of a forensic audit. Tell me what you want. Tell me very clearly, tell me what you want.
So one of the things I'm gonna substitute a topic into this, because I think, because we're gonna go back and we're gonna discuss ballots and elections quite a bit here, and I think this one deserves to go ahead and be mentioned now, considering the lack of confidence that I think these lawsuits are kind of pushing in amongst voters in Georgia. There are two different stories that I saw this week. I sent both of them to you guys. So I saw this in Politico Playbook, which if you don't subscribe to it, yes, there's a bias, but it's actually it's a must read if you're into politics. So there's a little tidbit on Monday morning titled "The Elephant in the Room." We've been sounding this note for a while. The Republican Party apparatus is increasingly worried that Donald Trump's lies about the 2020 election could cost in 2022 and 2024, distracting from the rest of the party's agenda. The New York Times' Jeremy Peters reports that a survey of GOP voters in Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's district found that 5 to 9% would not vote in 2022 unless the state conducts an audit of the 2020 election, alarming the GOP in a state with narrow margins. And then there was another story that came, and the source on this one's Salon, which is not friendly to Republicans, but basically saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we usually call "she who must not be named," Scott doesn't really like that, so I'm appeasing Scott right now. She apparently was, and this is from the story, was apparently dismayed to learn that 4% of her state's electorate said they won't even vote in future elections due to electoral fraud or election fraud. So it's 4%. You don't win statewide in any race.
9%, it's a blowout.
Right. and this is something, and Trump also had that statement last week where he said Republican voters won't show up to the polls if audits aren't conducted or whatever, if we
don't fix the previous elections. I think he's
right. It's like
whatever fix means.
And I had that post impeachment basically saying, like, Donald Trump wants Republicans to lose. Like that's and not only that, Republicans seem to want Republicans to lose because
I think Marjorie Taylor Greene's reaction is that she realizes, holy crap, we're going to lose if we keep this up, right?
Yeah, and then it was a blame shifting. I read through her tweet storm about it, and it was all, here's the list of things you must do, and it was right in line with what you said, Scott. It's more, well, we've done this, we've done that, we've done the other thing, and it's not enough. It's not enough. It's never enough. And so, I think, unfortunately, for the folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump and others, they have so thoroughly convinced a portion of their base that it is rigged, and it is rigged for all time until, I don't know what they want. Replace the Dominion
Trump as president.
Yeah, replace the Dominion machines. And it's still, the other ones will be rigged. Right. Anybody votes absentee ballot, well, that's all stolen votes. So you have set up you have sown the seeds of your own defeat.
Right. And I think that they're coming. Look, she can blame shift all she wants, but she has to come to a realization. And I think she is getting there based upon what I'm seeing, is that she can't continue this messaging without there being real repercussions. And she actually showed genuine concern for Brian Kemp and his ability to beat Stacey Abrams if this continues in this trend, which is something new, right? She hadn't shown any type of concern for any other Republican at all. This is the first time she's shown any type of concern for anybody else other than she who must not be named.
And she faces a primary opponent. We'll see how credible this person is. I forget her name. I'm sorry, but she has an impressive resume. You would think an opportunity is there for her to raise some significant money and mount a credible campaign. And I think the other thing that Marjorie Greene knows is that 4 to 9% are her most ardent supporters.
Yeah.
So if they don't show up in a primary, then who knows what happens.
Yeah. And we got to remember, she won her primary, but she didn't win it by a large margin.
Right.
No, and she did have she did have a fundraising advantage over others.
Yes.
In a race.
She will next time.
Yeah. And she has a huge fundraising advantage now. I have no doubt that she is going to be the nominee for that seat going forward, and as long as she wants it at this point, unless I don't know. I can't foresee an instance where she's not the nominee. Let's just put it that way. But I find it refreshing, honestly, and I have to give her credit where credit is due, that she's recognizing that the rhetoric that's taken us to this point is dangerous for the party.
Yep.
And whatever it takes for her to course correct on that, I welcome her to the new narrative that we have to make sure we get these people back to the polls.
Yeah, the thing that I find so funny in all this is the fact that Kevin McCarthy is literally trying to pick out the furniture for the speaker's office right now. I mean, well, maybe not literally, but
it's kind of like Braves fans shopping for World Series tickets in the 8th inning last night.
Right. No, yeah, exactly. And it is. I think everyone. I think most people, if you like, there's surveys of congressional staff, and most of them, the majority of them, believe that Republicans are probably going to take the House. They're going to take the House in 2022. But the thing is, if they do take the House, nobody expects the margins to be super big.
No.
We're talking 10, 15 seats. Probably at maximum. But if I don't know, it's like that saying, and we try not to overuse profanity, but it's like that saying, "Fuck around and find out." Mm-hmm. It's like, because that's kind of what's happening.
What they're doing.
Oh man,
yeah, it's like
do we have a beep button on the Peach Pundit podcast?
No, but it's like that's what's happening. It's like they're fucking around and finding out. Like it's like, oh crap, we actually have a problem here. Some of our most ardent supporters, people who come out and vote, 4 to 9% of them might not come out and vote. And the reason might not come out and vote is because we've been pushing this conspiracy theory for the last 10 months.
And look,
we've 12 months, almost 12 months.
We've seen this before. This is exactly what happened on January 5th here in Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands sat home. And I know I had a guy who was really ticked off of me, but I've yet to see evidence otherwise. The number one reason that people chose to stay home was because they bought into the idea that it was rigged, and why waste your time on an election that's rigged?
Over 300,000, according to Greater Georgia, over 300,000 voters stayed home who were Republicans, and Kelly Loeffler lost by 55,000.
Yeah.
There's your margin.
Yeah, it's a huge, I don't know, man. Don't stop measuring the drapes. Stop picking out what your couch is going to look like in your office, in the speaker's office in the Capitol. You have a real problem here, and they're not only because you'll win some seats, and you might win a majority still, but it's going to be a much narrower majority than it otherwise could have been if this stuff persists going into next year, or especially this time next year, because this time next year we're going to be 2 weeks away from election day, and if the questions are still lingering, whether the voters are going to turn out, because it's I don't know. I mean, it may not be Speaker Nancy Pelosi because she apparently has she had term limited herself out, and this is supposed to be her last term as Speaker, regardless of what happens. But you might still have a Democrat holding the Speaker's gavel. So it's like, it's like why I say F around and find out, man. But in keeping with the spirit of elections, one of the things that came out last week was that there were accusations, and in fact, 2 Fulton County election employees were fired for shredding voter registration applications. This is one of those things that when we're talking about this issue, it's like this is out there, and this is, people are going to point to it hold on, Scott, people are going to point to it and say that this is why you can't believe the result of the election, because things like this happen. And Fulton County, of course, is notorious for its really stellar election returns process. Scott, you're shaking
/ sarcasm font use.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
I was not being serious. Scott, you were shaking your head at me a second ago.
SB 202 has a provision which allows the state elections board to take over a local elections board. The Democrats cry foul, saying, "Oh, you're subverting local control," and this is exactly why. This right here. This is the reason why that provision was in SB 202, was because Fulton County can't get their act together. They don't know how to run an election. They don't know how to follow process. Of course, it's illegal to shred ballot applications. Of course it is, but they did it anyway. Right. And but they got fired. Well, it should never have happened. But this kind of stuff is consistent. It's not a one-off with Fulton County. And when we have elections problems repeating themselves over and over and over in one area, the state has a vested interest, a compelling state interest, if you will, to intervene and make sure that elections are being run properly, that the process is being followed, that the law is being followed. Fulton County, time and time again, screws this stuff up. Democrats want to go and defend Fulton County and their right to appoint their own elections officials. Whatever, go do that. I don't think you're going to win on that issue. I think the Republicans are acting responsibly here and adding that in SB 202, and those who fought against it need to explain why it's okay for this type of stuff to happen again and again and again.
Buzz?
I'm scanning through the Twitter site of Fair Fight Action, because I was wondering, maybe if they're wrong, maybe one of the readers can tell me, did they issue a statement condemning this? Because these were people trying to register to vote. Fair Fight Action is supposed to be there protecting the rights of Democrats to vote. Fulton County is one of the biggest Democratic counties in the state of Georgia. These are people registering not to vote in next year's election. They're registering to vote for the election that's taking place in a couple of weeks here. Municipal elections in places like the city of Atlanta, a Democratic stronghold. And maybe I missed it. I didn't see Stacey Abrams or Fair Fight Action out here.
Where's B Win?
Yeah, where's B Win on this?
She's up in DC getting arrested. She's up in DC getting arrested for blocking a sidewalk. Where are you on this, Representative Wynn? Where's your complaint about how people's rights are being violated and their access to the ballot place and the ballot box is being violated by the officials in Fulton County? Where's your criticism of them?
Right, but it is like, Scott's got nailed on the head. It's stunning incompetence. I don't think there's anything malicious. My guess is that somebody grabbed the wrong stack of stuff and started shredding, but it's unfortunate because they got to figure out who those people are. They attempted to register to vote, and now they're not registered to vote. And so
yeah, the Fulton County Commissioner did issue a statement. He said the revelation of wrongdoing by 2 fired employees in our elections department makes me angry. The actions of these 2 individuals will not disparage the hard and consistent work to improve our elections process and procedures. I applaud the employees who took forward-thinking action and immediately reported the incident. In my book, they are the heroes, and the story is more about them, not about the malfeasance of 2 people who acted unlawfully. He also defended Fulton County here. Some will try to make this incident another part of the quote-unquote pile-on to taint Fulton County in our elections operation. But again, the fact that we move so swiftly to hold these 2 individuals accountable says so much more about how fair and transparent our process is and what we stand for in the pursuit of fair and secure elections. The only problem I have with that is the simple fact that Fulton County's elections are not transparent. And historically speaking, like everybody, like you remember in the old days, Buzz, when we would do live blogs of Peach Pundit on election night, things like that, we always knew Fulton County was going to be an issue. We made
absolutely
fun of it.
And there was a left-wing film. I remember I met when I was still in the House. I met a left-wing filmmaker who was making a film about elections in Georgia and how horrible it was. And his main complaint was that he tried to observe the process of Fulton County and they kicked him out. Not your Cherokee County, your basic hardcore Republican area, Fulton County.
If he had come to Cherokee County, we would have given him gravy and biscuits and sweet tea and set him up in the corner wherever he wanted to be and showed him the process. And that's how we treat people in Cherokee County. But to the elections directors in Fulton County's
that's the chairman of the Fulton County board.
Oh, Rob Pitts.
No, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Let me see who that was. Fulton County Commissioner. Sorry.
Yeah, Rob Pitts then. So if Mr. Pitts wants to say this is part of the pile on, if there wasn't a reason to pile on, there would be no pile on. The reason why there is a pile on is because this keeps repeating itself over and over again.
So
do something about it,
so
Commissioner Pitts.
The
Do
interesting
something about it.
The interesting thing in this is also Brad Raffensperger's response, and once again, I'll repeat the standard. We don't want to talk about you, but you make us talk about you. But in this situation, it's actually pretty interesting what Raffensperger did. It's a smart political play, given what he's been going through. Raffensperger called on the Department of Justice to investigate the allegations and to hold the people accountable. Potentially, which is interesting because the DOJ is currently suing the state of Georgia over SB 202.
Yeah, maybe good politics, but you need the DOJ to stay in their lane.
Yeah, it's purely a political move.
We got state laws to handle this. We'll take care of it.
Yeah,
no, it is 100% a political move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the Raffensperger campaign team / deputy secretary of state probably thought it was a really good idea to issue this as a
They pounced.
Yeah, I mean, it was pouncing on this opportunity right now. Oh, look how aggressive we are to defend the right of the people of Georgia. We're fighting for everybody. It's garbage. It's I'm sorry, Secretary Brad. It's transparently political. I don't want the DOJ involved in anything elections in Georgia. Please don't invite them here. Keep them in DC.
If we had more DOGs in elections, it might be a whole lot better. It'd be more fun. It'd be a happier place.
I'm sure that I'll be writing my own dog's name in several different races.
Since we're on still on the theme of elections, I'm switching out another topic. Early voting has started in municipal elections around the state. Those elections, I think, are a week after next. I don't live in a municipality, so I have absolutely nothing to cast a ballot for, as far as I know, at least. So
no T-Splosh, no Splosh, no Ed-Splosh.
I will go look that up as soon as we get done tonight, because I actually don't know if there's a T-Splosh or an Ed-Splosh on our ballot this year. I think we did T-Splosh a while enough back that it's still in effect.
We have Ed-Splosh this year in Cherokee County. So
yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna go to my voter page right now and look this up. So talk amongst yourself.
Yeah, so I guess the mayor's race in Atlanta, Kasim Reed seems inevitable. Mayor
a runoff, maybe.
Well, Ambassador Young came out and said he's voting for Kasim Reed.
Police union endorsed him.
I guess. I guess the one person who's really disappointed in all this is BJ Pack, who aggressively went after and prosecuted several members of Kasim Reed's former administration, which happened to be continuing a long list of corrupt mayors in Atlanta. So I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's if you're Kasim Reed, this is the perfect time to make a comeback, because to his credit, he when he first ran, he said he was going to fully staff the police force. I don't know if he completely got there, but there was definitely that sense that he supported the police. Crime was down in his administration, and we saw the FBI crime statistics a few weeks ago. Murder and aggravated assault are up in Atlanta. Most other crimes are continuing their downward trend, but obviously a massive spike in murders in the city of Atlanta is very, very concerning.
Yeah.
And Kasim comes along and says, I'll do something about it. I did before, I'll do it again. And that's a pretty powerful campaign platform to run on.
A point of because I've spent a lot of time going over when Buzz talks about the crime statistics, that's the FBI's UCR, the Unified Crime Reporting, and it's basically reports from participating police departments around the country, and it showed a 5% increase in violent crime and a 29% increase in homicides. The interesting thing is, and one of the most overlooked reports that come from the alphabet soup of agencies under the guise of or the administration of the Department of Justice is the Bureau of Justice Statistics National Crime Victimization Survey. And I don't recall the statistic off the top of my head, but the crime victimization survey actually showed a 22% decline in violent crime year to year over 2019. So I've been going through that report and compiling data. It's actually pretty interesting to see. They don't track it by state or geographical region or city or anything like that. I do think they have a distinction between urban and suburban and rural, but that's not city specific.
And look, that kind of makes sense, just offhand, because if we're all quarantined, your opportunity to commit violent crime goes way down. But I think, in Atlanta, I mean, there has been a noticeable troubling spike in murders, and I think Kasim Reed has seized upon that. I think my guess is he winds up in a runoff with Felicia Moore, and then I don't think anybody has. I haven't seen a poll that shows anybody over 50%, although it mostly they tend to show Kasim and Felicia Moore running 1-2 in various orders, and those two are probably headed for runoff.
Yeah, it's going to be really kind of interesting to see how that race plays out, as well as what Kasim Reed's going to do. Because look, and I'm not playing down the fact that crime in Atlanta is rising. The UCR certainly bears that out.
Yeah.
But it's the one thing I will say on crime is 1 year does not make a trend, and that's something we got to keep in mind. So, Scott, you got anything you want to add before we move on to
just on the broader topic of municipal elections? You went and looked at your My Voter page. Everybody should be doing that. It's the reason why I wanted to add it to the agenda was to remind people in this seemingly election like time period. There are elections going on around the state. You may live in a county that has some sort of SPLOST on the ballot. You may have very strong feelings about tax increases or making sure that certain things are paid for. You'll want to research those issues, and you have a couple weeks before the polls close. So go ahead and get out there and vote. That's what I just want to encourage that.
One point, because I want to move on to our next topic real fast, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but this is something we didn't get to last week. Was Jim Beck, the former commissioner of insurance, is now a federal, he's been convicted of crimes. I don't know if he's officially a federal prisoner yet, but
December 1st, I think he reports.
Yeah, he will be serving time in federal prison. Reaction, guys?
About time. That took a long time.
Yeah.
I know the wheels of justice move slowly.
And COVID slowed it way down.
COVID may slow it down too, but Jim Beck continued to maintain his innocence in the face of overwhelming evidence. Talk about a forensic audit. That's what a forensic audit looks like, by the way, and that's where it leads to, is somebody going to jail for stealing millions of dollars in the name of charity. What a disgusting thing to get convicted of, right? I know people who had personally believed in Jim Beck, who owned insurance businesses to go work for his administration. They had to sell their book of business and sign a non-compete. They completely bought into the promise of the shysterism of Jim Beck, and they were victims of him. They found themselves, when Commissioner King took over, without a job and without the ability to go back into business for themselves. And it's just terrible. And it's had a ripple effect. He didn't just impact the people he stole from. There were dozens, if not hundreds, of other people who had a direct consequence based upon his actions. And I hope that he comes to recognize it. I hope he makes amends. I hope he repents. I hope he makes it right for the people that he's hurt.
Hear, hear. 7 years in prison. I think the prosecutors asked for 10. His attorneys asked for 5, and the judge split the difference. And
he can get 15. He can do 15. He can get up to 15% out of prison through good time credits, and then as much and then more, as long as this was not an exemption from First Step Back, he can earn time credits. So he might spend 50% of his time actually in prison, and the rest in a halfway house or home confinement. So but he at minimum he'll spend 3.5 years in a federal prison facility minus any time served already. So but I work, Mr. Beck, to relax sentences and to make conditions better in federal prison. So, you know, I'm happy to help you out. So driving up to DC on Sunday, stopped off in Virginia a couple times, to eat, to I also happen to stay in Virginia when I'm in town. So I'm seeing signs everywhere. For those of you who don't know, Virginia elects its governor every 5 years. It's always an off year election. So it's happening this year. Terry McAuliffe, who previously served as governor, is running again, because you can serve non-consecutive terms. You just can't serve consecutive terms. And he is up against Glenn Youngkin, who has turned the Dunkin' Donuts, saying, running on Duncan, just like south for me. Polls are showing this race like rapidly tightening. Today, Monmouth had a poll that had them statistically tied at 46%. If you do a +3 Republican advantage, Youngkin's ahead. If you do a D+3 advantage, it's McAuliffe.
That means that Youngkin's probably really ahead by 10.
That would be shocking.
Well, the thing they're saying, and this ultimately leads me to where I'm going with this, is McAuliffe realizes that he has an enthusiasm gap, and he has called out all the stops. President Barack Obama has campaigned for him. First Lady Jill Biden campaigned for him, and he called in some weird ones to come up. The one that, and it's not ultimately who we're going to talk about, the one that really caught me off guard was Keisha Lance Bottoms. Yeah, it's like, you want the one-term mayor of the city of Atlanta, who is overseeing a big increase in crime, to come and campaign for you. That does not make a lot of sense to me, but yeah, you do you, man. The one interesting one was Stacey Abrams. And another interesting one was Stacey Abrams. And Stacey Abrams gave some comments at a speech at a rally for Terry McAuliffe, in which she said, "I come from a state where I was not entitled to become the governor, but as an American citizen and a citizen of Georgia, I'm going to fight for every person who has the right to vote and be able to cast that vote." You were not entitled to become governor. You lost the damn election. Yeah, by like 50,000 votes. And I realized it was a very close election. And I realized that that there were claims of a stolen election, because I tweeted out something. I tweeted out something about this. I said, I truly don't understand the entitled comment. Abrams lost. It was close, sure, but she lost. To which a friend of mine responded and said, well, Georgia did purge however many hundreds of thousands of voters from the voter rolls ahead of that election. Which
there's people who didn't live here anymore. That's
dead people and people who had moved away. I mean,
yeah, it's like pulling up the tweet right now. He screenshotted something, and in the 3 months, more than 85,000 voters were purged from the rolls under Kemp. 668,000 voters were purged.
Hashtag fake news.
Yeah, so it's and between 2012 and 2016, 1.5 million voters were purged. 10% of all more than 10% of all voters, and that comes from the Brennan Center, who I work with a lot on criminal justice and are good people. Just happen to disagree with them about some things. But what do you guys make of the entitled comment? She was not entitled to become governor of Georgia.
I think she knows, in the wake of Trump complaining about a stolen election, she can't say what she's been saying for years now, that the election was stolen from her. She can't say that. So this is a new way to say it was stolen from me. That's the first thing that struck me when I saw this. It's all poppycock. And of course, why would, I'd love to see reporters asking Democrats, does Terry McAuliffe believe that Stacey Abrams had the election stolen from her? I mean, how can you then turn around and condemn Donald Trump if Stacey Abrams has been doing, and she's been doing the exact same thing. She's filed hundreds of lawsuits, hundreds. She filed lots and lots of lawsuits. She's formed an organization to try to fix everything that only really helps Democrats. And then she travels the country talking about how she's the rightful governor of Georgia. Yeah. How is that any different than Donald Trump?
Stacey Abrams blazed a trail. through a forest that had never been walked before. Well, I mean, other than Al Gore claiming that 2000 had been stolen too.
And Hillary Clinton's claiming 2016 was stolen, and John Kerry saying 2004 was stolen.
Maybe she just like walked down a trail, but it was still a trail. And then along comes Donald Trump, and he drives a Mack truck through that same trail and makes it a road. And now it's well established, and everybody's traveling back and forth. And but whoa, when Trump does it, it's really bad.
The one in defense of Al Gore, real fast, he presided over his own electoral college count and did it with grace that I think we all wish that we had.
The same as Mike Pence, right? Let's give them both kudos for that. Yep. Great. Good job for doing what you're supposed to do. Way to turn off the lights when you're walking out the building. Good job. Let's clap for that. Oh,
constitutionally mandated job.
Congratulations on doing the dishes as well, and for vacuuming. Good job. Doing your laundry. Good job. Good job. Let's just clap for them for when they do with the things they're actually supposed to do.
Well, that's sarcasm.
Was that sarcasm? Okay. Listen, this is my reaction. You asked the question. What's my reaction to Stacey Abrams in the Untitled? Did she just misspeak? Am I wrong to give her the benefit of the doubt on this? Did she use a word out of context? And really,
she didn't misspeak.
Well, I mean, but what she said was, I wasn't entitled. If she said I was entitled and lost, that would be the incendiary thing. But she said I wasn't entitled. So was it that bad? Am I wrong to not be outraged by this comment?
I mean, I wasn't outraged. I mean, I think it was more of like,
a lot of people were, though.
There were a lot of people who were, but it was more of like bad word choice. Like,
yeah,
when you get up in front of a bunch of people, it's happened to me. I've chosen the wrong word. I know the sentiment I want to try to. I've done it on this podcast. I know the sentiment I want to try to convey, but I am not quick enough on my feet in that specific moment to pick the right word. She said she was not entitled to being governor, and I think people.
An odd choice. It's a weird phrase.
It is a weird choice, but I mean, she said I'm not entitled. If she had said I was entitled, but that would be the outrageous thing in my mind, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong to think that way?
I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I think I didn't realize you were such a big Stacey Abrams fan and that you wanted her to be governor, but like,
He's trying to follow the lead of Donald Trump. That's all he's doing.
Oh my God, that's a bigger insult.
God, I just knew if I took this position that I was going to get totally razzed. Totally worth it.
Revisiting another conversation we had earlier, but I should have moved it up, but I didn't. Herschel Walker also realizes that Donald Trump's statements regarding Republican voters and how they're going to stay home is potentially damaging to the party's effort, specifically his effort to defeat Raphael Warnock in the 2022 midterm election. The fact that Herschel Walker is saying it out loud is pretty interesting. He is in a primary, of course, but he's endorsed by Donald Trump. But I think the fact that he realizes the damage it's going to cause or is already causing is pretty big deal.
I don't know how, we talked a few weeks back about this. I don't know how Trump, he's so dead set against Brian Kemp, but he's endorsed Jody Heiss, he's endorsed Herschel Walker, he's endorsed Burt Jones. They're all running maybe not as a ticket, but they're all on the same ballot together. And a person who shows up to vote for Burt Jones is going to vote for Brian Kemp. A person who shows up for Brian Kemp is going to vote for Herschel Walker. Trump is not going to be able to separate those things. So I think Herschel's realizing what Marjorie Greene is realizing, what many other Republicans are realizing, that continuing to bash Brian Kemp, continuing to go along with the stolen election narrative is going to suppress turnout, and it has the potential to take them all down, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, this is a reaction from Brian Kilmeade's show. I believe it's on Fox Business, maybe Fox News. Mm-hmm. He's on Brian Kilmeade, and Kilmeade asks about Trump's latest statement regarding Republicans sitting home, where Trump is essentially telling Republicans, stay home if they don't make me president. And we all know that's not going to happen. So essentially he's telling people, stay home, don't vote. And so the quote from Herschel Walker is, "That's not the right message. I'm very honored he endorsed me," he being Donald Trump, "but he knows Herschel Walker is going to do it Herschel Walker's way. It's not Donald Trump running." And I think basically Herschel Walker has realized very quickly that if he doesn't try to firewall the rhetoric, he will lose in a general election when he gets the nomination. He needs the 4 to 9% to come back out. He needs them to win. He can't have them sitting at home. So yeah, it's the wrong message. I'm really happy to hear Herschel Walker say it out loud and in a conservative format, in a conservative audience. He needs to be saying that all the time now.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, and that's what it's going to take for us as a party to get beyond this conspiracy theory stuff that's kind of taken over.
So this was added to the agenda for tonight, and I don't know what it means because I have not seen anything about this, and I consider myself pretty reasonably well informed about Georgia politics. But Jeff Duncan for president?
Buzz, tell me more. Like, what's happening?
So Jeff Duncan's got his book GOP 2.0 out there, where he talks about his experiences during the aftermath of the election and his vision for what he wants the future to be. He received an invitation. I'm pulling it up now so I can get it exactly right. We all know New Hampshire is a place where aspiring candidates for president go, but apparently there's a place, there's a college. I'm looking it up now. The New Hampshire Institute of one of the universities in New Hampshire.
Repeat that, Buzz. We lost you for a second.
Oh, sorry. Duncan received an invitation to speak at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics, which is housed in one of the universities up there. And apparently the New Hampshire Institute for Politics is kind of like the first place. They invite lots and lots and lots of people who might potentially run for president to come and talk to them, and they deliver a speech, talk about their vision for America, etc. So Jeff Duncan went up there, and of course it prompted a little blurb in the AJC's Jolt. Jeff Duncan run for president? He was asked that question point blank, as I imagine they asked everybody who comes to speak to them. But Jeff said he's focusing on his GOP 2.0 and trying to get the Republican Party moving forward. But it certainly, it certainly brings up the conversation. What's Jeff's next move? So
I found it interesting. Jeff and I are social media friends at the very least. So I found it interesting. He posted a picture of Brooke, his wife, at the Fisher Cats Stadium, which is one of the teams where Jeff played minor league baseball. And he posted a picture of her, and the caption read something, I'm paraphrasing here from memory. I've told Brooke all along that our political career, our political life is similar to our time in baseball. Jeff grinded in the minor leagues. He never made it to the bigs, but he was a really good minor league ball player. Mm-hmm. If I were to compare, if I engage in let's do a real comparison here of what it's like in politics. Was it that you grinded in the minors and then you got out? Is that what you're trying to say? Or did you look at the time in the legislature as the minor leagues and then you made it to the big leagues as a lieutenant governor? Or are you still thinking that maybe there's a next step for you? I don't know. So I'm reading into a lot of stuff there. I know I haven't talked to Jeff about any of it. I find the conversation where he's in the equation fascinating. It doesn't seem to me, based upon what I know at this point, that president is on his mind. But the way they reported it in New Hampshire was, well, he didn't say no. And it's not like Jeff has ever been down in the bottom of the ninth and didn't come back to win, right? So is there a world in which this could possibly happen? I don't know. Maybe.
So one of those multiverses that Mark Zuckerberg is creating for us. Before we wrap up, Scott Turner had a post today at the Peach Pundit, in which he noted that Holly Springs has taken a very aggressive stance on civil asset forfeiture. Scott, tell us what the lovely city of Holly Springs, Georgia has done in regards to one of the most pernicious practices that government utilizes to take your stuff.
Let me tell you something. I love the town that I live in. I love it a lot. Like, I am very proud to live in the city of Holly Springs. I was before this happened. This is a great place to live. My community is an amazing place. It's one of the safest cities in the state, if not the country. It's one of the best places to raise a family, to run a business, all of these things, right? And we have a very limited government, sort of libertarian-minded mayor named Steve Miller. I've gotten to know Steve over the years, and he was really supportive of my efforts to rein in civil asset forfeiture while I was in the legislature. And when I left, he was sort of dismayed that nobody picked up the torch and ran with it. So he decided he was going to do something locally. He issued a proclamation to the last city council meeting, ending the practice of civil asset forfeiture in the city limits of Holly Springs, regardless of whether or not there was a problem, because he said he didn't want future leaders to be tempted by the opportunity to pad their budgets by taking other people's property without due process. And he called the practice patently unconstitutional. And his proclamation can be read at peachpundit.com. We posted it in full there, along with a comment from him. He had more comments to say. There were other city councilmen. Michael Zinchuk, who sits on the city council, also chimed in saying, yeah, we shouldn't be padding our budgets this way. I'm really proud of my local government, folks. Listen, I put the flag up there for a reason. I'm celebrating them right now. Kudos, way to go. The best part of it is that he's not stopping here. He's going to try to make this a movement in other municipalities. He's sending his proclamation and what he's done to other mayors and other councils throughout the state. If this takes off, we could see a grassroots up movement to totally reform how we do civil asset forfeiture in Georgia.
It needs to also be boards of commissioners.
Yep.
All along until the legislature finally takes action.
Yeah, I mean, and if there's anything I can do to help in that, obviously I'm here. I'm still an American citizen with First Amendment rights. I will do whatever it takes to help in that. So.
Awesome. I love it.
And in federal forfeiture news, the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, has co-sponsored the FAIR Act, the Fifth Amendment Integrity Restoration Act, which is a civil asset forfeiture reform bill that is currently pending in the House. So, and the other interesting thing on that is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Gerald Nadler, is also on that bill. So you now have the chairman and ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee on the same bill, which in this Congress is quite a feat. So hopefully we'll get some markup. We'll get a markup on that. The bill is not quite as extensive as Scott and I would like it to be. It doesn't prohibit a forfeiture pending a criminal conviction, but it does increase the evidentiary standard. And more importantly than anything else, it gets rid of the profit motive behind forfeiture. It gets rid of the federal equitable sharing program and directs all the proceeds from forfeitures to the Treasury.
Okay.
That's a huge win. I would take that. I would absolutely take that. It's not everything I'd want, but I would take that for sure.
It certainly improves. It brings some process improvements as well. Still waiting on Senator Rand Paul to reintroduce his bill.
Congressman Loudermilk and staff, if you're watching, get on that, buddy.
Oh, we know you watch.
Get on that, buddy.
Get on that bill.
What
are you waiting for? I can code this entire podcast to like work. If you're, because I know you're watching, I'm lobbying you right now. Get on the bill. Like, don't make me set up another meeting and like come in and talk to you. I gotta do enough of that shit on the Senate side tomorrow. Okay, like, just get on the damn bill.
Need you.
Yeah, definitely need you. That's it for the night. Thanks so much to everyone for joining the Peach Fund podcast. We'll be back next week. I forgot to say this at the top, but as always, please make sure you download, like, subscribe, and continue reading peachfunded.com for all your Georgia political discussions when we have time to post in between our day jobs and all that stuff. So have a great rest of your week. I guess it's not quite, this isn't Halloween. So we'll save next week for Halloween. So and go Braves.
Yes, go Braves.